بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. هل أتى على الإنسان حين من الدهر لم يكن شيئا مذكورا إنا خلقنا الإنسان من نطفة أمشاج نبتليه فجعلناه سميعا بصيرا إنا خلقنا الإنسان من نطفة أمشاج نبتليه فجعلناه سميعا بصيرا إنا هديناه السبيل إما شاكرا وإما كفورا إنا أعتدنا للكافرين سلاسل وأغلالا وسعيرا إن الأبرار يشربون إن الأبرار يشربون من كأس كان مزاجها كافورا عينا يشرب بها عباد الله يفجرونها تفجيرا يوفون بالنذر ويخافون يوما كان شره مستطيرا ويطعمون الطعام على حبه مسكينا ويتيما وأسيرا إن نريد منكم جزاء ولا شكورا صدق الله العلي العظيم صلوات اللهم صل.
We'll have a few announcements by Brother Ali Amin Karmali. Salawat ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad.
Salawat. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Just a few announcements for tonight. Inshallah, the ISIJ of Toronto's Ladies Committee will be commemorating Ayyam-e-Fatimiyah tomorrow, Tuesday, November the 28th, beginning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with the recitation of the Holy Quran. The lecture in the Majlis is to be recited by Zakira Asma Sultan Rashid in English and Urdu, followed by Tabut, Matam, Ziyarat, and Dua Faraj. Upcoming programs at the Jaffari Community Center are as follows. Inshallah, on Thursday, November the 30th, beginning at 7:15 p.m. with the recitation of Surah Yasin, we will have our Jumeirah program with the Majlis being recited by Sheikh Dr. Abu Sumayya. And inshallah, on Friday, December the 1st, beginning at 11:35 a.m., we will have the khutbah will be recited by Resident Alim Maulana Sayyid Muhammad Rizvi. For full program details and agenda, you can visit jaffari.org/ISIJ calendar, or you can always visit the ISIJ of Toronto app. Note that all programs are relayed online at jaffari.org/live. The Jaffari Muslim Food Bank is in need of your help. The JMFB currently delivers groceries to over 90 at-risk families every month. The Jaffari Muslim Food Bank will unfortunately be compelled to refuse essential support to numerous deserving families unless we receive the community's financial contributions. You can donate online now to the Jaffari Muslim Food Bank using the link that's currently being displayed on the screen. Tonight's Niyaz has been sponsored by the Badami family for the Ithal Swab of Marhum Masum Ali Muhammad Ali Badami and Marhum Sayyid Hassan Abbas Naqvi. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. The ISIJ of Toronto regrets to announce the passing of Marhuma Zaibun Nisa Shivji, who passed away in Toronto on November 26th and was buried today. Kindly recite Surah Fatiha and Namaz Hadiyah Mayat for Marhuma. Kindly join me in reciting Surah Fatiha for all the names that I mentioned, all the names that are listed on the screen, as well as all Marhumin. Surah Al-Mubarakatul Fatiha. Kindly join me in reciting Dua Shifai Marid for all the names that are listed on the screen, as well as all of those who are in need of our duas. All together, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Amma yujibul muttarra idha da'ahu wa yakshifu as-su'. Amma yujibul muttarra idha da'ahu wa yakshifu as-su'. Amma yujibul muttarra idha da'ahu ويكشف السوء أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء ارحمني برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. That's all the announcements we have for now. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Salawat Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. We'll have a short poem by Brother Sajjad.
Assalamu alaikum. Sallallahu Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. Fatima Zahra, no one like her. Zahra, Fatima Zahra, heaven's flower. The Lord created the foundations of heaven. With it, he gave a gift to all of creation. It angel wrapped on the sand of the Lord's wisdom. This gift was called Fatima, leader of women. The world owns all to her. The world wishes to her. See, it's a proof against unplex in evil, those who have her love or amen to the devil. The whole world knows her sent as a saint of angels. The hidden secret, the true holy grail, secrets, do not know her. Secrets, alas, they're hers. Everything that exists takes Zara as a guide. We take from her, like sand is taken by a tide. Her prayer and patience knows has no devils are defined. Every single good deed by Fatima Zahra and Bates, her prayer, it defined her. Her prayer, it against her, yearns for her. 2 hearts of truth and wisdom, she is a mother. Much as Indian birds flock to her lovers, yearns for her the earth, and with it the hereafter. When she possessed the rivers just circled her, circles around her, circles like the Kaaba. Salawat.
Hassan, Jazakallah. We now have Marcia by Brother Ali Saklain. Salawat ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad.
बर मोहम्मद वाले मोहम्मद सलावत। तेरी ज़हरा पे मुसीबत की घड़ी है, हाय बाबा तेरी ज़हरा पे मुसीबत की घड़ी है, कैसे दरवाज़ा हटाऊं, कैसे मोहसिन को बचाऊं, अरे सांस सीने में रुकी है, तेरी ज़हरा पे मुसीबत की घड़ी है, के हाथ में जिसके मेरा हाथ दिया था तुमने, कह के मन को तो जिसे मौला कहा था तुमने, मैंने हर मोड़ पे बाबा साथ उसका है निभाया, हाँ मेरा जुर्म यही है, तेरी ज़हरा पे मुसीबत की खड़ी है कि ये अज़ियत ये खामोशी नहीं देखी जाती। अरे मुझसे तन्हाई अली की नहीं देखी जाती। तेरा पैगाम सुनाने हक विलायत का बताने ज़हरा घर घर में गई है। तेरी ज़हरा पे मुसीबत की घड़ी है कि जब से हसनैन के बाबा से सुना है ये कलाम, मुझको भी कोई मदीने में नहीं करता सलाम। तब से ये हाल है मेरा, अपना गम भूल के बाबा बस मुझे फिक्रे अली है। तेरी ज़हरा पे मुसीबत की घड़ी है। आपके सोग में तारी कि न देखा गया घर, आगे दरवाजे पे उम्मत ने लगा दिया कर। बाबा जाबाद तुम्हारे देखिए घर में हमारे रोशनी कैसी हुई है। तेरी ज़हरा पे मुसीबत की घड़ी है। तेरी उम्र ने बना दी है ये हालात बाबा। है कोई बसली भी नहीं मेरी सलामत बाबा। सांस लेती हूँ मैं जिंदा, घुटने लगता है मेरा दांत। सिर्फ मरने की कमी है। तेरी ज़हरा पे मुसीबत की घड़ी है। कभी दरबार में पेशी को बुलाते हैं हमें, कभी दरवाजे पे आके सताते हैं हमें। मेरे ये भूल से बाचे पूछते हैं यही मुझसे, क्या खता हमसे हुई है। तेरी ज़हरा पे मुसीबत की घड़ी है। शर्म आती है बाबा, शर्म आती है भला तुमको बताऊं कैसे। ये तमाचों की निशा तुमको ज़हरा पे मुसीबत की घड़ी है। हाय बाबा तेरी ज़हरा पे मुसीबत की घड़ी है। बरमहुद वाले मोहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम।
Ahsan. We'll now have another marsha by Brother Jabir al-Adina. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. This is Muhsin's eulogy for Ali Asghar. Let me hold you, my child. This is Muhsin's eulogy for Ali Asghar. Let me hold you, my child. Our story can give gray hair to an infant. Let me hold you, my child. This is Muhsin's eulogy for Ali Asghar. Uncle, now come look at me. I am an infant thirsty. They did not care when they sent her Mala to silence me. You did not see my mother scream, Wa Husaina. Oh, my uncle, hold me. Nephew, I too was the joy of your grandma Zahra. They were laughing as they saw Kunfuz come and kick her. You did not see my mother scream out to Fizza. Let me hold you, my child. This is Muhsin's eulogy for Ali Asghar. Uncle, there is one little girl, my older sister Sakina. I was the apple of her eye now. She just sits and cries. The immense grief of losing me, it will kill her. Oh, my uncle, hold me. Nephew, I too had a loving older sister, Zainab. After Zahra, she became mother to her older brothers. I'll tell Zainab to take care of your Sakina. Let me hold you, my child. This is Mohsin's eulogy for Ali Asghar. Uncle Mohsin, there's a fire that I felt on my neck. I was answered with an arrow when I asked for a drink. I lay there dying in the arms of my Baba. Oh, my uncle, hold me. Oh, my Asghar, I felt heat from the door that was ablaze. I saw your arrow and it hurt me, but did you see my nail? A red hot nail from the door that pierced my mother. Let me hold you, my child. This is Mohsin's eulogy for Ali Asghar. Uncle, I screamed in my grave after I had been buried. There was a sound that awoke me. I thought, what could this be? I heard ribs break as the horses trampled Baba. I heard ribs break as the horses trampled Baba. Oh, my uncle, hold me. Nephew, I too had to hear something that put me in grief. My mother froze, holding her side as she stood in disbelief. Behind the door came the sounds of her ribs breaking. Behind the door came the sounds of her ribs breaking. Let me hold you, my child. आज की रात तुझे गोदी में सुला लूं मेरे असगर आजा. लोरी अरमानों से भरपूर सुनाऊं मेरे मोहसिन आजा. This is Mohsin's eulogy for Ali Asghar. Salawat ala Muhammad wa alayhi.
Ahsant. We'll now have a short video, if you may ask everyone to pay their attention on the screens. Ahsant.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First and foremost, I offer our 12th Imam, Imam Mahdi, may Allah hasten his reappearance, and all of you my sincere condolences on this program to commemorate the death anniversary of our Holy Prophet's beloved daughter and mother and grandmother of all our Imams, Sayyidah Fatima Zahra alayhi salam. My name is Shabir Jaffar. I'm a member of this Jamaat and a volunteer at the Mullah Asghar Resource Center and Library, otherwise known as MARC. I know that this evening is a solemn occasion, but I ask you for some latitude as I share some positive news with you. Good news is indeed hard to come by these days, so every little we can get is welcome. Earlier this year, during the Canada Day weekend, the ISIJ of Toronto celebrated its 50th anniversary as an institution. Some of you may recall watching a short video that evening informing you that volunteers from the Jamaat and Mark were working in tandem to research and compile our organization's history in the form of a chronicle. This team consisted of Sister Shaheen Sarjan, Shaukat Bhai Molu, Hasnain Davdani, and me. On behalf of our team, I'm delighted to inform you that the wait is over. Our work, which we are calling Chronicle 50, is now ready to share with you. Chronicle 50 is a written account of the important events and milestones in order of their occurrence that took place over the first 50 years of the ISIJ of Toronto. We trust that its contents will serve as an example, inspiration, and reference point for both current and future generations of our community. We hope that it will help us to understand the qualities that it takes to establish an institution like ours that is so enduring and which serves so many. As part of our research, we interviewed several community members and dug deeply into the Jamaat's archives. We learned so much about our community as we worked on the Chronicle. You know, the history of the Toronto Jamaat is a truly remarkable one. Starting in 1971 with a small group of 30 people and no center, we grew, progressed, and now we number over 6,000 people with 4 centers in the GTA. And you know what? All this did not happen by accident. You will learn about the people who contributed their time and energy to help build this community. What drove them and those who followed was obviously the faith that we have, the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our holy Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and the Ahlul Bayt. May it always be so. So, how can you read the Chronicle? Well, we've put Chronicle 50 on a website, which you can access through a link on the Toronto Jamaat's main website, www.jaffari.org. Having it there will allow us to augment or correct the information, add multimedia, and also update the content for accuracy. You'll see the front or the home page going up on the screen. Let me brief you on how to navigate the site. At the very top, you will see 8 subtitles. Each one relates to a specific section of the Chronicle. Just click on each of them in turn. First, there is an introduction, which describes how Chronicle 50 came about and who we talked to. Next are 5 sections, each of which relate to a decade. The 1970s, the 80s, the 1990s, the 2000s, and the 2010s and beyond. In each of these sections, there is a content relating to our 4 communities: Hamilton, London, Toronto, and the West End. Then there is a section containing the audio and video interviews that we conducted with community members. Lastly, a section in which we reveal the hopes and aspirations for our Jamaat and the community for the next 50 years. The individual quotes that you will see and read are from a diverse group of community members, including some past leaders and some younger people, male and female. We are sincerely grateful to them for their contributions and thoughts. In closing, we welcome your feedback or any additional information about the contents. There is a form on the site called Contact Us, which you can use to do that. If we have inadvertently omitted an important event or a milestone in the Chronicle, please find it in your hearts to forgive us. And if we have erred or caused any offense, please pardon us. We hope you not only enjoy reading Chronicle 50, but feel as proud as we did to be a part of this community after you do so. Thank you for your time. Wassalam.
Thank you, Shabir Bhai, on behalf of the board and community. I thank you and your team for your efforts. Now I would like to call Brother Omar Khamisa from NCCM to give us an update. Thank you. But Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad salawat.
Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My dear respected brothers and sisters, Sayyid Maulana Rizvi, the ICIJ board, Mehboob uncle, I'd like to thank you guys for having me here today. Like Mehboob uncle said, my name is Omar Khamisa. I am the Chief Operating Officer at the National Council of Canadian Muslims. I'm sorry, just give me 1 second. The last time I stood here 4 months ago was for a completely different reason. I had a much bigger beard and I think the same amount of people were here. So inshallah, if we could start with a Surah Fatiha for my marhum wife Fatima, and inshallah we'll begin Surah Fatiha. You know, I have a bunch of speaking notes to go over what NCCM does, but you know, one of the best things that my beloved wife Fatima gave me was a community like you guys here. And it's very weird that a man named Omar is standing in front of the community and saying that you're my community. But a little over a week ago when the threat came to the masajid, it was like a threat on me. And it was a threat to my community, and it was a threat to my family. And that's why when the board called me on Jummah, I stood outside the masjid the entire time, because for a very long time, we've stood in our silos, where when something happens to the Khoja community, only the Khoja community speaks up. And when something happens to the Sunni community, only the Sunni community speaks up. But we're 1.8 million Muslims in Canada. And that's 1.8 million voices, and 1.8 million lives, and 1.8 million children. That when we're here from the National Council on Canadian Muslim, it's when there's a threat to one of our masajid, we all stand in front of it. And we all say enough is enough. The National Council of Canadian Muslims, for those that don't know what it is the organization in Canada here that fights Islamophobia, discrimination, allows you to be Muslim in Canada without any fear for your children, for your sake. We're the organization that's fighting Bill 21 in Quebec. We're the organization that was on the ground for our London family. We're the organization that is working right now on the issues in Palestine, both in our Foreign Affairs Department and locally here at home. And when we say that the issues that have happened since October 7th have been astronomically crazy, it's not an understatement. The Toronto Police last week released that since October 7th, there's been a 1,600% increase in Islamophobia. 1,600% increase in Islamophobia in the past 6 weeks. That means every hour I get 3 calls. 3 calls of a masjid being hurt, one of our children being assaulted, one of our employees getting jeopardized because of something they posted. 1,600% increase. Numbers that we have not seen since 9/11. Numbers that we have not seen since 9/11. After London, it wasn't like this. After Quebec City, it wasn't like this. But we are seeing those numbers now. And that's where NCCM has been. NCCM has been in the front lines. When the 2014 graffiti incident happened here, when we had that threat last week to the masajid, when the Our London family happened, when the Quebec City Mosque happened, NCCM is there. NCCM is the advocacy arm of our community, no matter what happens. But I'm here today to say that we need your help now more than ever. More than ever. 71% of the Canadians in Canada have called for a ceasefire. We have seen the work that NCCM has been doing with a completely understaffed team working 20 hours a day change the narrative in this country. We have seen cities from coast to coast call for a ceasefire. We've seen our politicians slowly change the narrative and slowly change their tone. We've seen people in every walk of life call for a ceasefire. 71% of Canadians today are calling for a ceasefire. But it cannot happen without you. It cannot happen with Omar Khamisa yelling as loud as he wants in Ottawa. It happens because we send millions of emails and millions of calls, because each and every one of you come together and say enough is enough. Because the community here at the Jaffari Center, the community in every masajid, coast to coast, lock arms and say enough is enough. Enough is enough of being treated like a second-class citizen. Enough is enough where our education department is 4 of the most energetic and brightful girls that you will see that have not smiled for the past 3 weeks because they get a call every day about something else happening to one of our kids. That is not okay with me, and I know it's not okay with this community. So what I'm here to say is I need your help. I truly, truly need your help. In really any way possible that you can give us help. Number one, we are incredibly underfunded. We have 16 staff members that are working 20 hours a day. I have not slept more than 2 hours since October 7th. I joke with people that my hair has been this, I last cut it on Umrah, which was 8 weeks ago. This is not the hair I regularly have, because we are not sleeping anymore. We are incredibly underfunded, and we're doing all of this work. Every narrative change you've seen has been done by one person on the Palestine desk, and that's not enough. So before you leave today, we have booths on both the brothers and sisters side, or open your phone and go to nccm.ca. Number two, I need your voices. When we have an action alert group on WhatsApp, join it. I think half the Jamaat's already in there, but I want every time an action alert goes out that we have every person in the Jamaat sending an email and making a call. And three, this Jamaat has some of the most highly skilled people I know. We need your expertise. We need your nasiha. We need the community to come together and be one ummah. Be that one body that when our arm is hurt, our rest of our body steps up. You guys know me, I'm available 24/7. You can call me at any time, I'll pick up the phone, I'll be available for you. But I also want you to know our rest of our team. Fatima Abdullah is our advocacy officer. She's on the sister side. Please say salam to her. Ibrahim Hussein is our Ontario Community Engagement Officer. He's on the brother side. Say salam to him. Introduce yourself to them. Say salam to them. Get their phone number. And if you need anything, call us. Do not hesitate. We will be there for you. And you guys know I don't come often to ask for money, but we need your help now. We need your help to even this playing field. So go to nccm.ca, see our booth out there, and last but not least, we need your nasiha. We need your advice. We need your advice on what to do. If you see something missing, if you see something we're not doing, please let us know. We are available to hear from you. Again, I said I am available 24/7. You give me a call, I will pick up your phone, and inshallah, we can make sure our community is safer tomorrow than it is today. That is all from me. I appreciate every single one of you. Jazakallah khair, and assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you, Brother Omar. On behalf of the community, we would like to thank NCCM. When we had a threat last week, the NCCM was with us over 1 a.m. They was side by side with us. Thank you very much. Tonight's niyaz was sponsored by Badami family for Isali Sahib of Marhum Masum Ali Muhammad Ali Badami and Marhum Sayyid Hassan Abbas Naqvi. Can we recite Surah Fatiha? Al-Fatiha. Bismillah. Let's welcome Maulana Sayyid Muhammad Rizvi on the member with a 3 loud salawat. Allahumma Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala. Brothers, may I request you to please step forward a bit, please, if you can, more step forward, please. Thank you. Al-Fatiha.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الحمد لله الذي لا يبلغ مدحته القائلون ولا يحصي نعماه العادون ولا يؤدي حقه المجتهدون الذي بعد فلا يرى وقرب فشهد النجوى تبارك وتعالى والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء وخاتم المرسلين وشفيع المذنبين سيدنا ونبينا بالقاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم رجسا وطهرهم تطهيرا واللعنة الدائمة الباقية على أعدائهم ومنكر فضائلهم وغاصب حقوقهم من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه الكريم إن الله اصطفى آدم ونوحا وآل إبراهيم وآل عمران على العالمين. صلوات أكبر. We've gathered tonight to commemorate the first event of the Ayyam, which are known as the days of Fatimiyah, in remembrance of the tragedy of Fatima Zahra salawatullah alayha. Tonight I would like to discuss an issue as a response to a question that we get quite a lot about the sequence of the events immediately after the passing away of the Prophet. We hear about all these events, but we don't have a clear understanding about the sequence, what happened, when did it happen. And this is what I would like to basically talk about. Some of the events, beginning with the demise of the Prophet of Islam, Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, till the day when the house of Fatima Zahra was attacked. Now, as far as the events are concerned, whether it happened or not, we had the discussion previously many times, especially in the last year's event, where I quoted to you the sources from Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, very early source, even before Sahih Bukhari, 25 years before Bukhari, where the first Khalifa on his deathbed basically regretted certain things that he had done. And this was a conversation between him and a close companion, Abdurrahman ibn Auf. And this has been recorded in their books. And one of the three things that he regretted was, وَوَدْتُ أَنِّي لَمْ أَكْشِفْ بَيْتَ فَاطِمَةَ عَنْ شَيْءٍ, that I wish I had not exposed the house of Fatima for anything. وَإِنْ كَانُوا قَدْ عَلَّقُوا عَلَى الْحَرْبِ, even if they had closed the door and they were planning for war. I wish I had not done this. So this issue, whether it happened or not, historically it is a certainty. There is no doubt about it, but that is not the topics tonight. We have already talked about it before. But then the whole issue, when did it happen? Did it happen next day after Wafat of Rasulullah? Did it happen a week after that or 10 days after that? The sequence of events which took place between the Wafat and this incident of the door of Fatima, this is where we don't have certainty. There is no, clear, sources of history which would give us that. But we will, inshallah, try to see what would be the most probable, sequence of events between these two, tragedies. Basically, there are 5 events from the Wafat to the attack on the house of Fatima. Number 1 was the first attempt to demand allegiance from Banu Hashim. This was the first attempt. We many times confuse that with the day when the house was attacked. Then the second event would be the compilation of the Quran in a chronological order, in the order of revelation, which was done by Ali on the command of Rasulullah during his last days. And then the incident at the same time, those days when Ali was compiling the Quran in that way, at night he would take Fatima alayhi salam with him to the house of Ansar, where they will talk to the men and the women to try to, ask them to support the cause of Ali. But the response they got was that, Ali, it's too late, you should have come before. Things have been done. And then after the compilation of the Quran, we have the event where Amir al-Mu'mineen goes to the Sahaba and says, this is the Quran that I have compiled based on the chronological order. But it was rejected. And it's only after that that we come to this issue of the incidents of the door. So these are the events which happen from Wafat to the attack on the house of Fatima al-Zahra. As far as the sequence is concerned, when did it happen? Did it happen in a week's time, or more than that, or less than that? I would like to share with you the conclusions by a scholar of our time by the name of Sheikh Abdul Zahra Mahdi. He really has written very extensively on this issue of the tragedy of Fatima al-Zahra, and the title of his book is Al-Hujum ala Bayti Fatima, assault on the house of, or the attack on the house of Fatima. There at the end he even talks about this sequence. That, what was the sequence of this event and what is the timeline there? According to him, he says there are three possible sequences. And remember, these are possible because we don't have 100% certainty about these events and how long did it take. And these three possibilities that he talks about, from the wafat of the Prophet to the incident of the door of Fatima, it goes from 1 week to 10 days. And the main point here is that the duration in which Ali was compiling the Quran, that either that duration was short or it was long. So this whole issue, whether it happened in 1 week or 10 days, everything has to do with this issue of the compilation of the Quran. And this is where we have to realize that it's important that Ali compiled the Quran in a chronological order and presented it to the Sahaba. He would not have done that if the house had been attacked before. So that's a very important point when you study history and you try to bring the events and put them in a sequence. This is where even Abdul Zahra Mahdi is using that as an important, timeline to find out when did this tragedy take place. Salawat man Akbar. Just to give you a very, brief overview of those three possibilities, we'll look at the charts there. So Monday, 28th of Safar, year 11 of Hijrah, is the day of the wafat of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We're looking at the first, possible scenario of this sequence. So Monday was the day of wafat. Tuesday night, the Prophet is buried. And on Wednesday is the first attempt to force Banu Hashim to pledge allegiance. And we'll talk a little bit more about it. And then Thursday and Friday, Ali spends in compiling the Quran. And during the night of Thursday and Friday, he also goes with Fatima to the house of Ansar, houses of Ansar, to seek support. And on Saturday, after compiling the Quran, he then presents that Quran to the Sahaba, but it was rejected. We'll come to that later on. And so that is on Saturday, 4th of Rabiul Awwal. On Sunday is the day when the house of Fatima was attacked. And that is the first scenario, and you'll see later on, this is the one I would prefer according to my own reading of the sources. The second possible scenario that Sheikh Abdul Zahra Mahdi mentions is that the wafat of the Prophet is known, Monday, 28th of Safar. Tuesday he is buried at night. Wednesday is the first attempt to force Banu Hashim to pledge allegiance. That's also, so the first 3 days are kind of, there is no dispute there. Then he says from Thursday to Sunday. So now you have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's not 2 days, it's 4 days that Ali spends in compiling the Quran according to chronological order. On Monday, he presents the Quran, and on Tuesday, the house of Fatima is attacked. And so this is where you see the duration becomes longer. And this is based on the source, one narration which is there in Usul Kafi. The third sequence is longer than that. Again, Monday, 28th Safar is the day of Wafat. 29th is the Tuesday, Rasulullah is buried. Wednesday, the first attempt to force Banu Hashim to pledge allegiance, where they refused. Thursday to Tuesday. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So now we have 6 days there. Compilation of the Quran. It's more, longer time period in this third scenario. And Wednesday, then Ali goes and praises the Quran to the Sahaba. And Thursday is the day when house of Fatima was attacked. And this is where the source for the second and the third is same. However, when I look at the sources, I prefer the first version. That, when it comes to the day when the house of Fatima was attacked, it was Sunday, the 5th of Rabiul Awwal. And the reason I'm saying is that, between the second and the third scenario, I have doubt about the third scenario because it is based on the same source as the second scenario, same narration, but the reading of the words would be different. You see, the second scenario is based on the narration from Kulayni in Kafi, where it says, sab'at ayyam, 7 days after the wafat. Whereas Sheikh Saduq, quoting the same narration, says, bitis'at ayyam, after 9 days. Now the problem is that those days, if you know the Arabic alphabets, if you don't have nuqtas, you can read sab'a and tis'a, depending on how you're reading it, because there were no nuqtas there. And that's where I consider the third one to be least likely, and the first one would be the preferred understanding according to my reading. Salawat bin Akbar. So let us look at the first incident. This is where we see, the issue was about Wednesday. Tuesday night, the Prophet is buried. Wednesday is the day where Abdul Zahra Mahdi uses the term, he says, al-hujum al-awwal, the first attack on the house of Fatima. This is where the Banu Hashim and their supporters are told to come to the masjid. And they were told, Baya Aba Bakr, do bay'at. And this is where there is a conversation goes on, a debate goes on between Amir al-Mu'mineen and the group. It's a long one, I'll just summarize here, where Ali begins by saying, أنا أحق بهذا الأمر منه وأنتم أولى بالبيعة لي. I have more right in this matter than him, and you have the duty to pledge allegiance to me. Don't ask me and my supporters to do bayat. You have, أخذتم هذا الأمر من الأنصار. You have taken this right from the Ansar. You see, in Saqifa, where the Khilafat was decided, there were two groups. Muhajirin, those who were immigrants, and Ansar, the original inhabitants of Medina. So there, the dispute was between these two groups. Eventually, Abu Bakr was selected there. And so Ali uses the same argument they used there. He says, you have taken this right from the Ansar by arguing that you have tribal relationship with Rasulullah. And so, you usurped our right because we are the family of Rasulullah. If you were able to convince Ansar that you have more right in becoming successor because you belong to the same tribe as Rasulullah, we are the family of Rasulullah. If that is the relationship is the basis, then we have more right on this issue of Khilafat. Don't you say to the Ansar that you are more deserving of this issue of succession than because your tribal relationship to the Prophet? And so they gave in to you and handed over the leadership. And that's where Ali continues. وَأَنَا أَحْتَجُّ عَلَيْكُمْ بِمِثْلِ مَا احْتَجَجْتُمْ عَلَى الْأَنصَارِ. And I'll argue against you on the same basis that you argued against the Ansar. And then he says, أَنَا أَوْلَى بِرَسُولِ اللَّهِ حَيًّا وَمَيَّةً. I am closer to the Prophet in his lifetime as well as after his death. أنا وصيه ووزيره ومستودع سره وعلمه. I am his executor of his will, his minister and keeper of his secrets and his knowledge. أنا الصديق الأكبر والفاروق الأعظم. I am the true Siddiq and I am the mark of distinction between right and wrong. أول من آمن به وصدقه. I am the first to believe in him and testify to his truth. I was the best of you in facing the challenges in jihad against the mushrikeen. I am the most familiar of you with the Quran and the Sunnah, and the most learned of you in the faith, and the most insightful in assessing the end of issues. You just get into the issues, whereas I contemplate on the end result before I even start that. And I am the most sharp in tongue and the most steadfast in difficulties. And so he concludes by saying, so on what basis do you fight us on this matter of Khilafat? Be fair. If you fear Allah for yourselves and recognize our authority the way Ansar recognized for you, otherwise you will fall into injustice and animosity that you know the reality about it. Salawat. This argument and conversation and discussion wouldn't have taken place if it was the case of the attack that we talk about. That's why we are saying this is the first attempt of trying to force Banu Hashim to pledge allegiance. When Ali gave these arguments, one of the elders in that group stood up, Abu Ubaidah. He tried to appease Ali. And he says, Ali, we don't deny your relationship with the Prophet, nor your presence in faith, nor your knowledge and your help, to the Prophet. But وَلَكِنَّكَ حَدِيثُ السِّنِّ. But you are younger in age compared to the Shaykh. He is older, more experienced, and the matter has been decided. Let it go. If Allah gives you long life, it will come to you eventually. So he's trying to appease him that, you are young compared to him. Let it go. And remember, Ali was not that young. He was 33 years old at that time. But, you know, this is where we see, you know, in Islam now here, old age becomes a criteria, you know. Whereas we see that that is not the reality. You look at the knowledge, the faith, the capability, you know, the steadfastness, and the record of an individual, and not the age of an individual. Salawat pढ़ने पर आओ. And that's where Amir al-Mu'mineen responds to Abu Ubaidah by saying, addressing the whole gathering, Ya ma'ashar al-muhajirin wal-ansar, you know, do not forget the covenant that you had with Rasulullah regarding me. وَلَا تُخْرِجُوا سُلْطَانَ مُحَمَّدٍ مِنْ دَارِهِ وَقَعْرِ بَيْتِهِ إِلَى دَوْرِكُمْ وَقَعْرِ بُيُوتِكُمْ. And do not take away the authority of the Prophet from his home and from his family to your homes and your families and your tribe. And this is where he ends by saying, فَوَاللَّهِ مَعَاشِرَ الْجَمْ, all the people, إِنَّ اللَّهَ قَضَى وَحَكَمَ وَنَبِيَّهُ أَعْلَمُ وَأَنْتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ, that Allah has decided and the Prophet knew about it, and he also declared, you also know بأن أهل البيت أحق بهذا الأمر منكم. Ahlul Bayt are more worthy of this position than you. Why? أما كان القرآن منكم لكتاب الله الفقيه في دين الله المصطلع بأمر الرعية والله إنه لفينا لا فيكم. He says that if there was anyone who was a good reader of the Quran, a scholar of faith, familiar with the affairs of the people, by Allah, that person would be from us and not from you. So do not follow your desires, otherwise you will move further away from the truth. He ends by talking about Ghadir. And this is based on our sources here. He talks about the Ghadir. People started talking about it among themselves. You know, the words of Ali were influencing them gradually. And this is where خشي عمر أن يصغي الناس إلى قول علي. Umar became concerned at that time that people would be now heeding to what Ali is saying. And therefore he says, you know, there's no point in having this gathering. He dispersed the gathering and the meeting. The people went away, and Banu Hashim also returned back to their homes without pledging allegiance to the first Khalifa. Salawat. So that was Wednesday. Monday is Wafat, Tuesday is the burial of the Prophet, Wednesday this is happening. Thursday now we come to the issue of, Thursday and Friday, 2 days compilation of the Quran. Now, remember, we do not believe that what Ali compiled was a different Quran. It's a whole, discussion by itself. In one of the months of Ramadan, I think 2 or 3 years ago, I talked about in detail what is the difference between the Quran that we have now and what Ali had done. What you have now as the Quran is the complete Quran. There is no doubt about it. Because even if you look at the name of the surahs, the names were given by Rasulullah during his time. So Surah Baqarah was a surah existing in the days of Rasulullah. Surah Al Imran was there. Yes, maybe the sequence of the surahs might not have been the same, but whatever is there in the 2 covers of the Quran now is the Quran that we believe in him. Only the difference between the Muslims would be on the interpretation of the ayat of Quran. But what Ali had done, based on the will of Rasulullah, and Ali was one of the closest one to Rasul in writing down the ayat of Quran whenever they were being revealed. So he basically was compiling this from very before. And this is where, this was compiled by the order of the Prophet in chronological order. Means, Iqra bisma rabbika alladhi would be the first ayat, ending with the last surahs, which is, Surah Tawbah or Surah Ma'idah. And so these were the last surahs to be revealed. So that was the order in which Amir al-Mu'mineen compiled the Quran. And for them, some people would say, oh, 2 days he did it. You're not talking about a research scholar sitting and looking for sources, compiling everything. This is somebody who was with the Quran from day one. He was there as the Tanzeel of Quran was Rasul, and the Ta'wil of the Quran was Ali. And so he compiled it. And I think if he had just compiled it by itself, there wouldn't have been a problem with others, that they didn't accept it. What he did was he started writing some marginal notes regarding some ayat. He would say, okay, this ayat was revealed in Mecca, this ayat was revealed in Medina, this ayat was revealed in this year, this ayat was revealed about this so-and-so person. So if the ayat is in praising, that's okay. But he would even mention the incidents where people were rebuked by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran. And so these marginal notes, which were very crucial to understand the Quran, became a problem. And this is where we see that, that when Amir al-Mu'mineen wanted to present that, they didn't like that part of the compilation. Because what he did was he would write down where the ayat came down, when did it come down, what was the occasion, and about whom this ayat or the verses or the section talks about. And this is actually, the Prophet's, his own statement, and I don't want to go into detail in this, but there are so many referenced statements from Rasulullah in the books of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, which talk about Ali being the source of explaining the Quran. One day the Prophet came from his house outside. The companions are all gathered, waiting for him to come. They saw that he was carrying his sandals. And one of the sandals, the strap was broken. So they saw that he's, coming with the sandals in the hand, and when he got close, he looked at Ali and said, Ali, can you repair this for me? So Ali started fixing it there. And then he says to the gathering, he says, إِنَّ مِنْكُمْ مَنْ يُقَاتِلُ عَلَى تَعْوِيلِ الْقُرْآنِ كَمَا قَاتَلْتُ عَلَى تَنْزِيلِهِ. Among you there is a person who is going to fight for the true interpretation of the Quran, ta'wil. The way I fought for the بَلْ هُوَ خَاصِفُ النَّعْلِ, the one who is repairing the sandals, referring to Ali bin Abi Talib alayhi salatu wasalam. And that's why you see in the occasions where Ali used to say, Saluni, Saluni qabla tafquduni, ask me before you lose me. There are different occasions, different statements. In one of the statements he says, ask me before you lose me, فَوَالَّذِي فَلَقَ الْحَبَّ وَالْبَرَعَ النَّسْمَ. That by that Lord who created, the seed and the soul of the human being, لَوْ سَأَلْتُمُونِي عَنْ أَيِّ آيَةٍ, if you ask me about any ayat of the Quran, whether فِي لَيْلٍ أُنزِلَتْ أَوْ فِي نَهَارٍ, was it revealed at daytime or nighttime, مكيها ومدنيها, in Mecca or Medina, Safariha wa Hazariha, when the Prophet was in the town or in journey, Nasikhiha wa Mansukhiha, whether the ayat was a final one or the ayat which was cancelled and abrogated. Muhkamaha wa mutashabi'aha, whether you want to know the ayat which is clear and decisive in the meaning, or the ayat which is of symbolic and allegorical meaning. Wa ta'wiliha wa tanziliha, if you want to know any ayat about its interpretation and where was it revealed, la akhbartukum, I will inform you about it. He had total, comprehensive knowledge of the Quran. Salawat Pranak Parar. And so it was those marginal notes which became the basis that when he presented to the Sahaba, they basically, فَقَالَ إِلَيْهِ رَجُلٌ مِّن كِبَارِ الْقَوْمِ, one of the elders say, يَا عَلِي فَلَا حَاجَةَ لَنَا فِيهِ. They looked at it, especially the notes, and they saw even the names of their supporters and friends who have been rebuked in one way or another. They said, فَلَا حَاجَةَ لَنَا, we don't need this. Thank you. And that is where Amir al-Mu'minin said, I fulfill my duty, you didn't accept it, so you will never see it until the last one comes. And this is where we believe that Quran is with the Imam of the time, Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajul Sharif. Many scholars who came later on regretted this, that why didn't the Sahaba accept it? One of the very early scholars among Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah by the name of Muhammad bin Sirin, he says, فَبَلَغَنِي أَنَّهُ كَتَبَ عَلِيٌّ عَلَى تَنزِيلِهِ. I have been told that Ali wrote the Quran, or scribed the Quran based on the sequence of revelation. وَلَوْ أُصِيبَ ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابِ لَوُجِدَ فِيهِ عِلْمٌ كَثِيرٌ. If we could have, get our hands on it, we would have gained great knowledge. Another Sunni scholar who is a historian of Muslim theology, Muhammad bin Abdul Karim al-Shahristani, he says, كَيْفَ لَمْ يَطْلُبُوا جَمْعُ عَلِي بِنْ أَبِي طَالِبٍ. He was surprised. He says, why didn't they go after this compilation done by Ali bin Abi Talib of the Quran? أَوَمَا كَانَ أَكْتَبُ مِنْ زَيْدٍ بِنْ ثَابِتٍ. Was he not better in writing the Quran than Zayd bin Thabit, one of the compilers of the Quran during the days of the Khilafat? أَوَمَا كَانَ أَعْرَبُ مِنْ سَعِيد بِنْ الْعَاصِ. Was he not better in Arabic language than Sa'id bin al-As? أَوَمَا كَانَ أَقْرَبُ إِلَى رَسُولِ اللَّهِ مِنَ الْجَمَاعَةِ. Was he not closest to Rasulullah compared to the entire community? So he's surprised that, why people did not accept that compilation done by Ali bin Abi Talib. Salawat. So this is where we have Monday is the day of Wafat of the Prophet, Tuesday is the burial of the Prophet, Wednesday is the first attempt to demand them to pledge allegiance, and they refused. Thursday and Friday are the days of compilation of the Quran, and Saturday basically is the day he presents the Quran, it's rejected, and Sunday is the day when Fatima's house is attacked. That is basically the most probable sequence of event based on the research gathered by Sheikh Abdul Zahra Mahdi. May Allah bless him for that. You see, by the time when Ali presented the Quran, it was rejected. Things had been very clear now, that Ali and his supporters will not give in. They will maintain their opposition. And so now it was an issue of decision. They couldn't let this, issue go in an uncertain way. That a group of very prominent members of the community are opposed to the issue of the allegiance. And this is where we see that, with the consent of the first Khalifa, Umar ibn Khattab and a group basically came to the house of Fatima Zahra. And some of his companions were told to even bring firewood. And the conversation which took place with Fatima behind the door. And there's a whole question, people say, you know, why didn't Ali come? And we have responded to that. I don't want to go into that. We don't have the time that much. But when the call was made from outside, send Ali and his, supporters outside to pledge allegiance, and if you don't do that, I'll burn down the house with its occupants. And this is where Fatima says, I am in this house. She's trying to appeal, that if you really have this sense of being follower of my father, remember I am in this house. And the response was, we don't care. Fatima didn't say Ali is in the house, because he knew their feeling towards Ali. But he said, what about my children? They are the grandchildren of your Rasulullah. Even then the response was, I don't care. And this is where eventually, they started burning the door, and it was forcefully, pushed to the extent that it broke from its hinges. Remember, in many Middle Eastern houses where you had a courtyard, then you have the door. To maintain that privacy, you would have either a curtain or a small, wall. And this was the scenario probably at the time, that when the door came down, Fatima was pinned between the door and the wall behind. It's not the issue that, the door came on her and she was bruised. No, the injury was such that even some of her ribs were broken. Allama Amini says that, the speakers would say and the listeners would listen that the door came down on Fatima. He says, what you don't realize that there was a nail in that door. Which hurt, basically it came in on the side. And this was not that only Fatima was hurt. Even her own unborn child, Mohsin, actually became shaheed because of that. And this is where Fatima Zahra called out very loudly. And at that moment, she could not call anyone but a woman. And she says, Ya Fizza ilayya ilayya. Oh Fizza, come and rescue me and help me at this time. अज़ादारों ने उसे ये दुश्मनान अहले बैत जो है घर के अंदर चले आए. तफसीलात हम पहले बयान कर चुके हैं. अली को गिरफ्तार करके ले जाते हैं. रसन से बाकायदा बांध के खींच के ले जाते हैं. तफसील को हम छोड़ रहे हैं, आप पहले सुन चुके हैं इस सिलसिले में. लेकिन जब बाहर ले जाया गया दरबार में, सहन मस्जिद में, और जब बैत की बात हुई, अली ने कहा कि हम इनकार करते हैं. उस वक्त यही कहा गया था, डिमांड यही हो रहा था कि या बैत करें या इन्हें कत्ल कर दिया जाए. اس وقت جو ہے جناب سیدہ کو جب ہوش آتا ہے اپنی اذیت کے باوجود پہلا سوال فاطمہ کا تھا فضہ سے، این علی این ابوالحسن، علی کہاں پہ ہیں؟ جب کہا گیا کہ علی کو گرفتار کیا گیا ہے، مجھے نہیں معلوم ہے کس اذیت کے ساتھ فاطمہ گئی ہے، لیکن اگر کسی نے نصرت کی ہے، علی کو بچایا ہے تو فاطمہ ہے۔ وہاں پہنچنے کے بعد کہتی ہے کہ اگر تم نے ہمارے ابوالحسن کو نہیں چھوڑا تو ہم اپنے بالوں کو کھول کے بد دعا کریں گے، لیکن علی کے صبر کو دیکھے فوراً سلمان سے کہتے ہیں کہ میں اپنی نظروں سے دیکھ رہا ہوں کہ مسجد النبی کی دیوار کھڑا اٹھنا شروع ہو جاتی ہے۔ سلمان کہہ دو بی بی سے وہ امت کے خلاف اسلام کے خاطر بد دعا نہ کرے۔ عزیزان حسین، اس وقت جو ہے علی کا قتل ہو جاتا، لیکن فاطمہ نے بچایا ہے، اور اس لیے چھوڑ دیا گیا کہ جب تک فاطمہ ہے علی سے بیعت کا مطالبہ نہیں ہوگا۔ عزیزان حسین، بی بی کی طبیعت جو ہے خراب سے خراب تر ہوتی چلی گئی۔ وہ وقت آتا ہے کہ بی بی جو ہے بستر پہ بیمار پڑ جاتی ہیں۔ امیر المومنین ایک دن آئے ہیں اور جب سرانے بیٹھے ہیں، جب آنکھ کھلی ہے فاطمہ کی، علی کے چہرے پر نظر گئی، رونا شروع کر دیتی ہے۔ علی نے کہا کہ بی بی رونے کی وجہ کیا ہے؟ اس وقت سیدہ کہتی ہیں کہ علی ہم اپنے لیے نہیں رو رہے ہیں، مجھے تو وہ وقت یاد آ رہا ہے جب آپ تنہا رہیں گی اور ہم نہ ہوں گے۔ اس لیے کہ فاطمہ نے بھی سنا تھا کہ جب تک فاطمہ ہے علی کو چھوڑ دیا جائے۔ وصیتیں کرتی ہیں، جو اذیت فاطمہ نے برداشت کی ہے اس کا انعکاس اس وصیت میں ہوتا ہے کہ علی میری وصیت ہے مجھے تاریکی شب میں دفن کیا جائے، میرے جنازے کا اعلان عام طور سے نہ ہو بلکہ کچھ نام لیتی ہے بنو ہاشم کے افراد کی، اور جو شیعہ علی خاص تھے ان کا نام لیتی ہے کہ ان کے علاوہ کسی اور کو خبر نہ دی جائے۔ میرے جنازے کی عجیب غریب منظر ہے، یہ رسول کی تنہا بیٹی ہے، اس کا جنازہ شان سے اٹھنا چاہیے تھا لیکن تاریکی شب میں اٹھتا ہے۔ بس بنو ہاشم کے کچھ افراد تھے اور اصحاب کچھ تھے۔ عزیزان حسین، بس ایک منظر کو بیان کر کے ہم مجلس کو ختم کرنا چاہیں گے کہ وصیت کے مطابق علی نے جب غسل دینا شروع کیا ہے، چادر کے اوپر سے ایک مرتبہ صحابہ کا کہنا ہے کہ ہم لوگ سین مسجد میں بیٹھے تھے، ایک بار علی کے چیخنے کی بدر و حنین کا وہ سپاہی، خیبر و خندق کا فاتح کبھی چیخ کے رویا نہیں ہے زندگی میں، پہلی بار چیخ کے روتا ہے۔ جب پوچھا گیا تب کہتے ہیں کہ غسل دیتے دیتے میرا ہاتھ جب پہلو پہ گیا تب مجھے اندازہ ہوا کہ فاطمہ کس اذیت سے گزری ہے۔ عزیزان حسین، اس لیے دفن کرنے کے بعد جو آخری جملہ علی کا تھا کہ میرے دو حمایتی ستون تھے، دو سٹرونگ سپورٹر پلرز تھے ہمارے لیے، ایک رسول کی وفات کے دن گرا ہے اور ایک فاطمہ کے ساتھ آج دفن ہو چکا۔ ماتم حسین
حق مانگنے جو زہرا حق مانگنے جو زہرا دربار میں گئی ہے یہ غربت علی ہے آوازیں آ رہی ہے میں بنت مصطفیٰ ہوں بابا کے کلمہ گویو میں ہی تو فاطمہ ہوں پہچاننے سے دنیا پہچاننے سے دنیا انکار کر رہی ہے یہ غربت علی ہے سن کر سلام حیدر کوئی نہیں ہے رکتا واجب نہیں سمجھتا کوئی جواب دینا افسوس فاطمہ بھی یہ بات جانتی ہے یہ غربت علی ہے کہتی ہے رو کے زہرا جانے نہ دوں گی تنہا پٹ کے میں مرتضیٰ کے ہے ہاتھ سیدہ کا اب ہے کسی کا درا اب ہے کسی کا درا اور دختر نبی ہے یہ غربت علی ہے ہے مظلوم کربلا کو یاد آ گئی سکینہ بیٹی پہ مصطفیٰ کی کنفذ کا ہاتھ اٹھا پہلو میں مرتضیٰ کی پہلو میں مرتضیٰ کی تلوار رو پری ہے یہ غربت علی ہے
یا حسین 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 یا حسین
Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein. Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein. Hayya ala khairil amal, hayya ala khairil amal, hayya ala khairil amal, hayya ala khairil amal. Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein. قبر میں احمد مرسل کو ستایا کس نے؟ 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 قبر میں احمد مرسل کو ستایا قبر میں احمد نے قبر میں احمد فاطمہ زہرا کو دربار بلایا کس نے؟ قبر میں کس نے؟ قبر میں احمد مرسل کو ستایا فاطمہ زہرا کو دربار بلایا کس نے؟ قبر میں احمد مرسل کو ستایا کس نے؟ قبر میں احمد مرسل کو ستایا کس نے؟ قبر میں کس نے؟ قبر میں نام نہ لینے سے چھپ جائے گی تاریخ بھلا، نام نہ لینے سے چھپ جائے گی تاریخ بھلا، چلتے دروازے کو زہرا پہ گرایا کس نے؟ قبر میں احمد مرسل کو ستایا کس نے؟ قبر میں احمد مرسل کو ستایا کس نے؟ قبر میں قبر میں احمد جلتے دروازے کو زہرا پہ گرایا کس نے؟ قبر میں کس نے؟ قبر میں ہاتھ میں لے کے چلی فاطمہ تحریر نبی، ہاتھ میں لے کے چلی فاطمہ تحریر نبی، چاک کرنے کے لیے ہاتھ بڑھایا کس نے؟ قبر میں احمد
مرسل کو ستایا کس نے قبر میں مد مرسل کو ستایا کس نے قبر میں کس نے قبر میں کون اب قبر محمد پہ جلائے گا چراغ کون اب قبر محمد پہ جلائے گا چراغ دیپ درگاہ محمد کا بجھایا کس نے قبر میں مد مرسل کو ستایا کس نے قبر میں کس نے قبر میں کس نے قبر میں فاطمہ زہرا کو دربار بلایا کس نے قبر میں قبر پوچھ فیاض فقط اتنا ستم گئے سے سوال پوچھ فیاض فقط اتنا ستم گئے سے سوال آل احمد پہ ستم ڈھانا سکھایا کس نے قبر میں مد مرسل کو ستایا کس نے قبر میں